Welcome back to Atreyu News. Beautiful story here. Foundation raising big bucks for UK police officer slain in terror attack. Obviously not the terror attack, but just giving is raising $250,000 to give to the family of the PC Keith Palmer, who was killed by a terrorist in an attack on London on Wednesday. The Metropolitan Police Federation are raising money for the family of PC Keith Palmer, the police officer who tragically gave his life on March 22nd as he guarded the Palace of the Westminster from what is believed to have been a terrorist attack. Every day, all over London and the rest of the UK, police officers risk their lives to protect and defend us. In the wake of this tragedy, our thoughts are with Keith's family and all the people who are injured have lost their lives. United we stand against one enemy. Breaking: Trump's travel ban just upheld. A Virginia judge has refused to block Trump's revised executive order banning travel from 6 alleged terrorist nations. Alleged, I don't really think it's alleged when they actually come from there. From Zero Hedge, on a day when all eyes are on Washington and the healthcare vote, President Trump just won an important victory as a Virginia judge refused to block his revised travel ban against 6 predominantly Muslim countries, even though, as Bloomberg reports, the directive remains on hold because of the court orders in 2 other states. Trenja, on Friday, denied a request by Muslim activists for a temporary restraining order, who said Trump's revised March 6 executive order, like the original before it, was a disguised Muslim ban that discriminated against immigrants based on their religion. The ruling by the U.S. District Judge Anthony Trenja in Alexandria bolsters the administration efforts to overturn a block on his executive order issued last week by judges in Maryland and Hawaii. Notably, AP reports the FBI says authorities are aware that the federal judge in Hawaii who ruled against President Donald Trump's travel ban has received threatening messages. What do you think? The public sees it as this judge allowing terrorists into the country, and could very well possibly be just that. FBI spokeswoman Michelle Ernst said Thursday the agency is aware of reports of threatening messages against U.S. District Judge Derek Watson and is prepared to help if necessary. Watson blocked the federal government from enforcing its ban on new visas for people from 6 mostly Muslim countries and its suspension of the nation's refugee program. He issued his ruling last week, hours before the travel ban was to go into effect. The U.S. Marshals Service is responsible for protecting federal judicial officials, including judges and prosecutors. The service says marshals don't discuss specific security measures, but does provide additional protection when warranted. While Judge Trenja's decision won't have any immediate effect, it is certain to be cited by the administration of lawyers as the cases move towards the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, should have just did it as I said in the fucking first place with the original travel ban, bring it all the way to the Supreme Court, because now it's certain that the Democrats and their judges will never side with Trump no matter what he does. Bring it right to the Supreme Court. Fuck him. Stunning. Rachel Dolezal releases memoir on her journey from a white girl to a black sister, and it's bad. Look at this fucking idiot. A white girl who's trying to be black deliberately. I think this is what Stephen Hawking was talking about when he says there's nothing dumber than a white anti-white. A white person who hates their own identity. Right here. Dumbest shit on the planet. And even Sean King, the other leader of Black Lives Matter, another guy. White man turned black, even though they still both look white. Like, what the fuck? Rachel Dolezal has just released a new memoir detailing her journey from rural white girl to woke soul sister, and is doing her best to promote her story. Oh my god. This comes after I found out she was actually homeless from being an idiot. In her heart, she's still a misunderstood black woman. Yeah, well, she's got more problems than one if that's what she thinks. Because she's whiter than I am, fuck. Rachel Dolezal, who convincingly passed an African American civil rights activist in Spokane, Washington, until her unarguably Caucasian parents outing her as white in 2015, is now stepping back into the spotlight in all her bottle bronzed Afro hair extensioned glory. Dolezal has penned a memoir in which she compares her travails to slavery and describes her harrowing childhood as pale, blonde girl growing up poor on the side of Montana mountain. As she toiled in the garden for her strict, evangelical parents, she dreamed of freeing her inner blackness. Dolezal writes in full color, finding my place in a black and white world. That's fucked up, isn't it? See, she'd read her grandmother's National Geographic magazines, so she knew about blackness. Yeah, because National Geographic will teach you everything about being black, right? I'd stir the water from the hose in the earth and make thin soupy mud, which I would then rub on my hands, arms, feet, and legs, Dolezal writes. I would pretend to be a dark-skinned princess in the Sahara Desert, or one of the Bantu women living in the... Oh, it's going to be hard to get through this. Imagining I was a different person living in a different place was one of the few ways that I could escape the oppressive environment I was raised in. She was so poor she wore dog fur clothes and played ball with freshly butchered chicken heads, she writes. What the fuck? Blessed freedom would come, but first she had to survive her parents' beatings, her brother's molestation, and her own wheat pale skin and hair. Was Dolezal really assaulted by her brother? Did her parents really force her to eat her own vomit? And was she really born in a teepee? My guess? No. She probably came from a middle-class family. Most of these people that are like self-absorbed and spoiled always come from wealth. Was Dolezal really with so much of her life being a blatant fiction, it's hard to be sure, but it all sure makes for fascinating reading. Who know, for example, that Dolezal is bisexual who suffers from PTSD? Well, we all knew she was fucked in the head, so it's no surprise she has a mental illness. On a brisk November morning in 1977, Rachel Ann Dolezal came kicking and screaming into a painful white world she'd eventually grow to despise and discard. It may or may not have been in a teepee, but Jesus Christ was indeed listed as the witness on her birth certificate. Dolezal includes a photo of the document in her book. Life in the rural Northwest, near the banks of the Kutina River, was bleak for a young Dolezal. Yeah, well, I'm sure some blacks would disagree with you. With all of our white privilege, it would be impossible for her to suffer, right?